Hello, gamers. Welcome back to Trexplode's Elden Ring podcast. The show where I am re-recording mic audio because I screwed up and didn't do a mic check before recording for an hour. In today's episode, we're skipping the pre-roll, the pre-roll recap, and we're just jumping straight into it because last episode left off at the top of the building, so figured why not start at the top of the building. Keep it simple, keep it straight. Watch as I miraculously survive an encounter with one of the most obnoxious enemies in the game, and move forward from there. So this is So what I'm doing in the gameplay right now is I'm just finishing up where I left off last episode, and I'm trying to get to Melania quickly as possible. But first I'm taking a slight detour, because I don't want to come back through this area for what I feel should be obvious reasons. There's a lot of very obnoxious enemies, and a lot of them. And it's just so I can grab this item that I pick up here, the Ghost Glovewort Picker's Bell Bearing, bracket 3 bracket. Because that'll, once I redeem that at the shop later in the episode, I'll be able to buy the remaining items needed to upgrade the unique spirit ashes. And then once I have that unlocked, I can just upgrade anything to like one point short of the max possible level. And it really does, like, I totally could have made it to Melania in the last episode in under 25 minutes, but I just screwed up so many times. Like, look, see, right? That's Melania's boss gate right there, and that's the site of grace that you just respawn at endlessly when you die to her. Not if, when. And I was so close, but I just kept screwing up and kept making mistakes. And, you know, I'll be honest, when I initially was recording, I was tempted to just kind of end the episode right there. You know, not even 2 minutes. But I decided that'd be kind of a waste. So I figured, you know, let's go do some side quests. Or side questing stuff. You know, take care of a couple things that I won't technically need to, but I want to. So the first one I take care of is I finish Latena's side quest. So as part of getting to the Halig Tree and the consecrated snowfield, you can undertake a side quest where you have to go get a specific spirit ash, which is Latena, the Albinauric archer, and you have to take that spirit ash, similar to the jellyfish in a previous episode. You have to take that spirit ash to a specific location and then summon her, and then you get some items. And it's worth it because you get a unique shield, which you can use for cosplay purposes, or you can actually use it or whatever. And you also get a somber ancient dragonstone, which you can use to upgrade a unique weapon to max power, which, you know, is always useful. So that shield swap there was me thinking that I was going to be invaded because I misremembered being invaded at this section of the game, and it is very close. There is an NPC invasion very close to this location. We don't have to deal with that episode. And me picking up these items semi-obsessively is some minor prep work for Melania, because there is an item that doesn't make her cheesed, but makes her easy. And what you're watching right now is me trying to get close enough to the artillery installment over there without dying, which you can see I'm very clearly failing at. I do make it a bit further, but then I just get nuked into oblivion. Bam. This is, like I said, this is just me trying to do the Lieutenant side quest. To do that, you have to get past this artillery installment, and go to the chapel that's behind it. So what I end up doing is get fed up at being blasted by artillery. So I get close enough to where those shots can't really hurt me, and then I bring down the installment, so to speak. Because once you are under it, you are out of danger. And bringing this down now will come in handy later, because you use it to clone a boss remembrance. But frankly, I'm just tired of getting pelted with ammo, so I decided to deal with this now rather than, coming back later and dealing with it. So a lot of this is just me trying and failing to hit the little skulls on its feet, because that's how you knock it over. It doesn't help that this is the weapon I chose is one of the ones that's more difficult to manually aim with, that isn't like a bow or something. I don't think I should have gotten hit by that. Like, I get the dust cloud touched my character, but I feel like I was far enough away that I shouldn't have gotten hit by the shockwave. Anyway, yeah. So, Lieutenant's quest. The two ones we do this episode are we get like 95. We finish Millicent's quest line up to like 95%, and we do I'm getting the names mixed up. We do Millicent's to like 95% completion, and then we just finish Lieutenant's, which is what we're about to do just now. Because Lieutenant's pretty simple. You just get an item in one place and take it to another place on the map. Millicent's is a lot more difficult in comparison, because first you have to go through Caelid, which is obnoxious, and then you gotta beat a boss, and then you gotta talk to a god, and then you gotta talk to that guy again, and then you gotta talk to another. It's a lot more busy work than Lieutenant's. Granted, Lieutenant's is kind of busy work, because you do have to get 2 unique items. You have to get a total of like 3 unique items, but 2 of those you were already gonna get if you wanted to fight Melania, so it was more just like a thing to do on the way. And since I'm recording this in post, I might as well expound on the lore. So, Latenna, the little NPC that we're doing this for, that you'll see here shortly, is a member of a race in the Elden Ring universe known as Albinaurics, which are basically just a fancy term for homunculi. They can't reproduce naturally. So the whole point of bringing her here is she brings with her the seed of life to transplant onto this huge Albinauric woman here, and thus conferring the ability to create new Albinaurics. And then you talk to her, and then you get Somber Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, which really good. There is a limited number of items of that particular item per new game cycle. So, relatively simple quest line, easily worth it doing. And now we get to the meat and potatoes of the quest line centric episode. I have to go back to the Halig tree and traverse to a specific section, and then I have to fight a slew of enemies. And granted, something entertaining does result from those fights. I'm not gonna lie. It is kind of funny that it happened, and we'll get to that, so I'm not going to spoil it. But this next section, you have to go back through the rot swamp, which is obnoxious for a couple of reasons. One, it's a rot swamp that's inherently obnoxious, but it's also, the kind of swamp that forces your character to move slowly, and those are never fun. In a game that is about movement and positioning, having your movement forcibly taken away or controlled is always obnoxious, which is thankfully stopped or lessened by the inclusion of abilities like Bloodhound Step or Quick Step, but it doesn't make it less obnoxious that it's a thing that's in there. And unfortunately, I don't this whole episode is just a testament to my to my failure. Right? Like, the big mistake right there, right? So, I explained this in episode. I make the mistake of rolling through the poison swamp, the rot swamp. And for those who don't know, you do not want to roll through swamps in this game. Because rolling makes it so that you get coated in the swamp. And obviously I die because I misjudged, because platforming, yay. But yeah, if you roll through a swamp in this area, whether it be rot or poison, your character will get coated in that material. So if you roll through a poison swamp, you'll get coated in poison. You roll through a rot swamp, you get coated in rot. And what that does is that even after you get out of the swamp, your character will continually build up status of that particular type. And the only way to cleanse that is to either, like, you know, sit at a site of grace, or to use a consumable item called soap. Yeah, I know, right? Gamers using soap, the horror. Anyway, I make the mistake of rolling through that, and then I fall off before I can even remove the status from myself. But that's not the most embarrassing part of this, because that wasn't the only time I died trying to just get to the other platform. So I make it all the way there this time without rolling, and I cleanse myself so I don't take rock damage constantly. Grab my runes and then walk back up the tree branch, kill the enemy at the top, bada bing, bada boom. Make comments about how the fact that we're right above Melania's boss arena, which I think is really cool as far as level design goes. I've always liked that about Souls games, is how if you just look at the background, you can see 90% of the places you'll end up going later on, even in the earlier games. Like, I think that's one of the... It's the classic, like, joke about, you know, Todd Howard and the Elder Scrolls is like, you see that mountain? You can go there. With Elden Ring, it's actually true. Like, there's no inherently arbitrary barriers. Especially since, like, the entirety of Elden Ring takes place on a continent. You can go anywhere on that continent. Like, I don't think there are any sections of the game that are just quartered off inherently. So, as you can see, I'm not rolling here. That's because I don't want to get coated in rot, because I already have enough to deal with the giant mud monster. And then I make the same mistake that got me killed earlier. Whoops. Yeah. So we have to run back a third time, and thankfully a final time. So the majority of this episode is me failing to platform. Which is always fun. I will say, I kind of get it, right? I kind of get that, you know, adding unnecessary sections where your character has to jump through, or time movement or space movement correctly. Like, at this point, that's part of these games' identity, but it always feels like, you know, it was put in without any real thought, at least in the earlier games. In this game, it makes sense because there is a dedicated jump button. In previous games, if you wanted to do, like, a jump, you had to start running first, and, even then, all it did was really, like, propel you forward an extra amount. It wasn't like an actual jump like in this game. It was basically just a glorified scoot forward without feeling the effects of gravity. And, you know, that kind of sucks because I think there's like a whole couple quest lines and NPCs that are locked behind the ability to do that. Anyway, screw these guys. Like, I think it's... So, side note, I think these enemies are really funny from a design standpoint because they are one of the most obnoxious enemies to deal with for most people, and they are called pests. Like, that's not a joke. That's actually what they are officially named. They are officially named pests, and they are pests to deal with, to fight against. This is me thinking I triggered the boss fight. Hope. So, this is, I will admit, one of the more obnoxious encounters in the game. Ah, cool. Screen blanked out. What's happening here? Alright, well, sorry. I guess I just didn't move the mic. long enough. Anyway, this is one of the most obnoxious encounters, at least if you do it not the intended way, but the assumed way, because, you know, most people would assume that you're supposed to fight him over on that platform in that swamp area with all the rotten stuff. But if you have a reliable projectile, which, regardless of what your build is, you should have a reliable projectile, even if it's just a bow and arrow, he's trivial. You just jump down onto that platform and then you just pelt him, which is funny because there's two ways to interpret this level design. Either A, they intended for you to they probably intended for you to fight him this way, right? But like, it's either they intended for you to fight him this way, or they added that branch as a means of getting back onto the normal path, and then this is just an unintended side and this is just an unintended consequence, which, I'll be honest, that doesn't make sense, because as I mentioned when I was in the last episode, and when I did the initial audio for this one that didn't get recorded, so you wouldn't know about that, is that the late game areas in Elden Ring, I think, feel especially unfair compared to previous games, because the soft cap for vigor in this game, so in previous games soft cap for health was usually around 40, but in this game it's closer to 60 and 70, and it's not as punishing, but it's like, it still feels, in the consecrated snowfield and the Halleck tree specifically, having 60 vigor does not feel enough. This is me discovering, oh, as soon as I kill that guy, I can just go right into Millicent's assisted fight. So I basically just alter my build to, you know, get ready to deal with that, because this is one of the more difficult player type NPC encounters, because there's 4 of them, and while you do have an ally, they are still difficult to fight. But the cool part is that Millicent has, at least in my opinion, one of the most overpowered Ash of Wars, which makes sense, right? Like, that's Melania's move. Like, that is one of the best, and I realize that they're standing in rot and they're not really taking damage here. I even realized that when I do their weapon. But that was more just to, like, get the damage from that attack, because that still does initial impact damage. And here comes the funny part. So I get locked in the corner and they die. But then she does this, and they died. And I bring this up, right? So the reason the death animations in Elden Ring and the Souls games are so long is for situations like this. Because as long as you kill the enemies and you see that message like enemy defeated, right, before you get teleported out of there, that is a victory. Like, if you kill Melania and she kills you, like, at the same time, as long as like the victory text appears before you fade away, you beat Melania. And then this is the final part of this section of Millicent's questline. You just talk to her, exhaust dialogue, and walk away. And don't worry, there's a bit more to her questline, but that comes after beating Melania.
Please, the Scarlet Rot soon. Curse laden. I wouldn't want such.
Anyway, this is just me making sure I 100% exhausted all of the dialogue, because, you know. So once I'm sure I've done that, I decide that, you know, now's a good time to end the episode. But then I realize, oh wait, there's still technically something else I could do for Millicent's questline. So if you remember, there's a second NPC involved in her questline that also works as a shop vendor, and there is a particular item that doesn't appear in his quest until you reach a certain point. And this is just me taking the precaution of investing the runes in case I die, which, you know, this is technically an earlier area in the game. It's not really much of a threat to me, especially with that much health. So, right past all the enemies, aggroing them the whole while. Avoid aggroing the dog that's up on the ridge here, because that's the most dangerous enemy in this section of the game. And, you know, bam. And now we do something fun where we exhaust the dialogue.
Millicent, why would you take her? You were so close. Would you disown her? We children.
Because honestly, this guy's kind of a dick.
Do you detest
And then I
Melania?
make sure his dialogue's utterly exhausted, and I stab him in the face. 100% deserved. Because here's the thing, right? If I screwed up, having the miracle that he drops is pretty neat, but it's not necessary for this character. My character is like 90% built, other than like a couple stats here and there. But it is a cool item to have, so you know, deposit all the bell bearings I picked up, buy all the items that I can. You know, got to spend those runes on something. They're not enough to level up. And now I'm like, oh, cool. That's the whole reason I was here. So I just make sure I'd already bought all that. And then this next part is just me showing, hey, look, see, I have the ability to buy all of the upgrade materials now, so I can max out any weapons or spirit ashes. And it becomes a lot more easily to flexibly change my build going forward. Yeah, so this is pretty much the end of this episode. Like, I beat the bosses, and not the bosses come later. But yeah, at this point, there is nothing left for me to do other than beat the final bosses and beat Melania. And that's what the next couple episodes are. Next episode is my personal favorite of these Lost Audio episodes, because I fight my favorite boss in the game, and I really hate that I lost the mic audio for that, because I'll be honest, I didn't say anything funny or do anything silly, but I feel like the feelings that I put across from that recording are what was important for it, because we're going into this, it's my favorite boss in the game. He gets his own episode, and I think that's worth it. This is just the ending spiel, you know. You know what? Yeah, probably a good place to cut it off. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode of Trexplode's Elden Ring podcast. Bye.